This is the best time, I think, of any era in the known Christian world for us to be a Christian. Just 50, 60, 100, 1,000 years ago, Christianity pretty much ruled the world, and so very few people really asked questions. They didn't think deeply about their faith and engage the world around them in a fun way. And today, due to several different things, I think social media, the internet, is part of that. It's a whole new item where more people are talking back and forth. We're connected in ways we never have. And so now more than ever, Christianity is being debated. Christianity's truth claims are being challenged. And for me, I enjoy a good conversation. I like talking to people, but there are certainly those who are pretty darn annoying out there, though. It annoys me a little bit, especially from people who criticize, who know nothing about our faith, who know nothing about what's going on. Those who criticize those who operate with a conscience and a moral code get attacked for some reason. I don't know why. It's like super annoying. But now more than ever is the time for us to prepare, to understand, to have truth in our life and set it as the foundation as we engage the world around us. Thus, we're moving into the armor of God over the next several weeks. And it starts with the belt of truth, the truth that God gives us, and why that is so super important for us to have as we engage the world around us. Because, I've talked about this before. As soon as people find out that I'm a pastor, I have to represent the brand. I've got to talk to people. I've got to kind of engage with them. And so how do we do this? One thing I want to say before we even start off on truth, because this is a topic I really like talking about. I like thinking deeply about things. I think the world needs more of those people, don't you? I think we have plenty of talented and gifted and super smart people. We need more people who think deeply about things and who can take a step back and listen. And so this is a wonderful time for us to do that. And yes, I can get frustrated, and maybe you can get frustrated by what you see or hear around you. But these annoyances, these challenges, these difficulties are absolutely nothing compared to be able to say what I want to say, to be able to say the truth, to be able to live out my life according to the way God has planned to be able to truly live the adventure of my life. Compared to that, those annoyances are nothing. And so, let's get into it. Let's look first how God equips us to engage the world around us with truth and just how important that really is. He comes out talking about why the armor is needed. And our struggle is absolutely real. For our struggle is against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil. This is all wrapped up into the armor of God and what Paul is really talking about here, and what we need to be prepared for. We've had to deal as a church, even the last 3 years, with the quarantine rules that forbade churches from assembling. We've had to deal with authorities. Just in our time, we've had to deal with the ideas of what sexuality is. We've had to deal with, just the whole idea of having a faith and a moral code that we operate on a day-to-day basis. We have to do that, and you see it. I don't have to prove that to you. You see it around you. This is all part of a force that we have to deal with, and was always there. This is not a new thing. It's just one that's been elevated, I think, by other elements, amplified, as it were. And so the struggle is there. God knows this. Jesus knows this. The believers know this. And so he's given us something very special, and that's that incredible belt of truth. We were going to do a mannequin, but it didn't look all that appropriate. A lot of things were exposed. I don't want to get into it. I'll let Kip try and do that next week. So if you're going to come back next week, come back for that to see if we have a mannequin and how Kip dresses it. I'm just saying. I want to keep an eye on that. But you get an idea of what a belt is, and I really want to focus more on truth. And Jesus sort of prefaced a lot of what he said with this piece. I think this is so important for us out of John. If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will do what? Set you free. You see these on t-shirts. The truth will set you free. It isn't a truth. It isn't your truth. It's the truth will set you free. Your truth can be based off of the truth. That's great. But it's the truth will set you free. There's a freedom that comes in standing on truth. That is absolute truth when it talks about living out your life. You know this is solid. This is a foundation. And there are times in my life where I do this a lot. I'm always on the edges. I'm always on the fringes, trying to do new things or trying to accomplish something that hasn't been done before. And there are definitely times where the walls start caving in, and I've learned I need to back up, stand on that foundation, take my breath, but I know that this is true. This is solid in my life. It's super important for me to know these because life can be absolutely brutal. And to be able to have truth and to know where you're going, who's with you, how to live your life is so darn important. And when you have that, it sets you free to live your life that God intended, to live the adventurous life that you were always meant to live. And we want that for us. And the truth does that first by defining and guiding our life. By defining and then guiding us through this life. Tells us what our goal is and then guides us along the way. I'm going to do this in a couple different examples. But it's all set up by this. Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. A couple of years ago, I tried to create a sermon series that just focused on this for 3 weekends, that focused on the way, then just the truth, and then just the life. You try and separate these bad boys in Scripture. They can't be separated. Every time Jesus talks about life, the way is in there. Or when they talk about the way, truth is always in there. You cannot separate these three words. When you look in the Bible, the way, the truth, and the life are always connected. The truth shows you the way to life. It's just what it is. And so I decided to take just a basic example with no affiliations to us. A football field. Now, a football field's kind of fun. It's not like any other field, really. It has a lot of ticks and marks and lines and numbers. It's kind of congested, is it not? It's kind of this whole thing. But what it does is it sets the borders. It says, this is the area in which you have to play in, okay? These are the boundaries. The football has a set of rules. But what's super different about football is that it has all these little markers to show you where you are along the way. So yes, it defines the game, but it also guides us. So the goal of this sport is to get to one end or the other of this end zone, to the end zone, right? To one end or the other of this field. But it tracks progress, doesn't it? The field itself guides you because if you're moving forward, I'm moving. But it also tracks you when you're going which direction? When I'm going backwards too, when I'm sliding. This is something as an adult I had to absorb, that the truth not only guides us and shows us where to go, but it also says, man, am I so far away from where I should be. It shows the slide. Because I've seen a football team be, 3rd and 80, where they keep going back and penalties and back and back. It shows us how wrong we are as a people, as a person as well. And so it's all set up for us. We just have to get out there and play the game, right? Get out there and play the game. And so the truth establishes these markers, defines the game, and helps us along the way. Let me give you one of these truth claims of ours. If you claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not with us. Okay? So one of the basic claims of Christianity is that we've fallen short. We are sinners. We cannot save ourselves. We do what we don't want to do. We say what we don't want to say. It's a struggle. Humanity is broken, and so someone needs to rescue us. We need help beyond humanity because we can't help ourselves. This is a basic truth about life, and it really helps set up how governments are put together, how your family is set up, how communities are built. If we don't have this basic truth in place, we wouldn't need police, right? Why bother with police if we're all perfect? Why bother with a government if we can all figure it out on our own? We can't, and we need both, unfortunately, as little as possible, but we need both, right? And so there are basic truth claims that guide us. And if we don't think that's the way it is, then you're not living in truth. You're deceiving yourself. And if you're not living in truth, then you're living a false life. You are pretending to be who you are. because it's not true. And so it's so important for us to understand truth, not just in guiding life, but to truly live as God intended you to be. Another example of this is this inalienable rights given to us by God, and one of those is called agency. God has given you a bundle of gifts, and now you can choose how to use those. You can use your words to hurt or to heal. You can use your hands to build or destroy. As humanity, you get to choose that. You have agency over your body. But on the flip side, you're going to be held responsible for your words and your deeds. Okay? You're going to be held responsible for that. And so when you have these understandings and principles, it helps guide philosophy, your life, how we come together as a people. And so you can see how these truth claims, these the simple ones I'm talking about, changes how you make decisions and live your life. Just two of them. And yet they're so important for us. To the point where great proverbs, the wisdom of the elders, do not move an ancient boundary stone set up by your ancestors. Now, this also meant don't move the fence line without someone coming out and measuring because it ain't your land. But also, it means, hey, we've set up the boundaries. This is what truth is. It's important for us to remember those and hold on to those. I've run fence in my life. I have scars on my hands from running barbed wire. My dad does too. Many farmers have that. I've run plenty of it. I'm good. But one thing a fence line does, if you do it right, and most do, is it's justified. It's a straight line. It's right. And so when you're in the prairie especially, and you don't know where things are, a fence line helps keep you in line to justify you as you walk and as you move. And there's an old example that's pretty old in theology where when we start off in life, we're justified, we have this line. And as we move along, according to truth, we say, well, one little lie ain't going to hurt. And so we take that little baby step. And then, well, stealing a little bit won't hurt. We take another step. And then on throughout our lives, we compromise, we forget, we continue to go further and further into the hole, and before we know it, we look back, and that fence is way over there. We've completely missed the mark, and we need to be justified again. We need to get back to what truly is right and just. And so that's what truth does for us. Not only sets us and moves us forward into true life, it shows us when we've missed the mark. And how many times in the Bible have the people missed the mark and God had to correct them and get them back in line again? It's like, woof, 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 right? And so for us, truth does that. When I first read this, I go, this is so simple. It's awful. They needed to reword this. I wouldn't have said it this way. I'm just saying, Lord. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us. But whoever is not from God does not listen to us. I'm like, ugh, I could have said that differently, but whatever. You get the point, right? This is how we recognize the spirit of truth and the spirit of falsehood. Ask me what truth is. It is reality in the eyes of God. That is truth. And so when he established this is the truth, we are sinners and we have fallen, when someone comes around and says, oh no, everyone is born perfect and we're taught how to do wrong things, you're like, but that doesn't match, right? And as soon as you have kids, you know that ain't true, right? They go do stupid things all on their own. I don't have to teach them to do that. And so you have this right here, and you see, so then you know this is true, this is false. And so we base all that on God, right? We base that on what he's doing, and it's so important for us to follow that truth. Okay, next. The truth sets us free by holding us up through chaos and difficulty. It holds up during chaos and difficulty. And this is what I think people miss about truth. They totally miss it, and I did too until I got a little bit older. One of the great books I turn to a lot, to be honest with you, is the first chapter in Joshua. He's told the people to go into the promised land to conquer it multiple times. They keep getting afraid and don't do it. Finally, Joshua is at the doorstep again, and he's afraid. He's like, are you sure? And so this is God going, hey, hang in there. Be strong. I'm telling you the truth. Be strong. Be very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. It's interesting. To tell someone to be strong and courageous in the world, this is what God slipped to for us. He said, now listen to what I'm telling you. what I've taught you. This is what help you be strong and courageous in the world. Know what truth is. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, because then that causes problems. You move away from that true fence line. Keep this book of law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. This is what's important. And then God says, have I not commanded you anyway? Didn't I tell you to do this? Haven't I told you you need to tell people about me and tell them that you're loved? And didn't I already tell you you need to do this? What do you want from me? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. You are not in charge of the results, people. For the Lord God will be with you wherever you go. Jesus said the same. I will be with you to the end of the age. God is going to be there with you. He is going to defend you. Did you hear that? God is going to defend truth. He will always assume the consequences for our obedience to Him. Always. Holding to the truth will also allow other people to defend you. This is what I always missed. Man, I wish I could have absorbed this when I was younger. If you tell a lie, can I come help you? We don't have name tags at Lutheran Church of the Master. We do. So what can I do? If you said, we don't have name tags, that's a lie. You know it. Is anyone going to be able to defend you? Answer is no. And so when we tell the truth, not only is God going to be there for you, but you have other people that can come to your aid and defend you in this world. But if you tell a lie, it isolates you because it's not true. People cannot defend you then. And one of the greatest tricks of evil is to isolate you. Just say a quick lie and get out of it. Just say a lie. Let's get out of here. When you do that, you're alone. Like, you're done. Like, no one can help you then. And so speaking the truth allows us during chaos and difficult times to have others rally around us and defend what we believe because it's the truth. Isn't that awesome? But know this, speaking of the truth will bring trouble into your life. No lie here. When you live by the truth, right? When you live by it and tell the truth, you can get in trouble for it. Every kid in here knows that. When you ask a kid, why did you lie? What is he going to say? I thought I'd get in trouble, right? If I told you the truth, I get in trouble. I mean, that's the way it is, right? And it's so hard to say, no, tell me the truth, the punishment won't be as bad. Or we try and do what we can, but we know, even a little kid knows, if I tell the truth, I'm going to get in trouble in this world. And so just living this way causes trouble. But hey, you're not going to be alone. It's interesting. This is a scene where Jesus is praying to God for us, for you, for me. And He's not trying to get us out of this world of trouble. He wants us to have one thing, to survive trouble. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. But sanctify them by truth. Your word is truth. In difficulty and trouble, to know that this is true. No matter what everyone else thinks, you know this is true. You know what's true. You know what God has told you. And that allows you to live freely and have the adventure of your life. It really will. And so it guides us and defines it. It's there for us when we get into trouble, right? But more importantly, I'm going to end on this. It produces, telling the truth, living in the truth produces the best outcome. Think about that. It produces the best outcome. It's not always easy in the moment, is it? But in the long run, it will always produce, in the middle and long run, always produce the best outcome. Always. Now, they're little words. I'm going to read it. Fix these words of mine, God says to His people, in your hearts and minds. This is the Bible, the truth. Tie them as symbols on your head and bind them on your foreheads. Teach them to your children, talking about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Write them on your door frames of your houses and on your gates, and on and on and on. God says, keep this truth around you all the time. Teach your children. Be a man of God, right? Be a woman of God. Teach them always. But why do all that? Why is God wasting His time with us? He says, every time He asks us to do this, He always says, so that your days and the days of your children may be many in the land the Lord swore to give your ancestors. as many as the days that the heavens are above the earth. Isn't that amazing? God is doing this not because he's a bully with a stick. It's just how the world works. You want to get the best outcome? Then tell the truth based on his truth. Going back to Joshua, be strong and courageous, he says, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to give them. You're going to win. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to end horribly, because some things just end horribly in life, don't they? But the best possible outcome will come when you tell the truth, whatever end that is. And that's important for us to know. This isn't about prosperity doctrine or any of that business. It just leads to the best end. Jesus talks about it. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Stay connected. This is to my Father's glory, right? If you do what God tells you to do, it's to his glory that you have the best outcome possible, right? That's just logic. Even humans can understand that. It's to God's glory to show that when you follow what he teaches, the best outcomes come of it. That you bear much fruit. That fruit is complicated. It's nourishing. It's something that we have a hard time growing in Nebraska. Showing yourselves to me, my disciples. And so truth is the basis of all of it. If we're not standing on truth, then all of it doesn't make any sense. None of it's going to stand up. And no one can defend you, and your life will be all off online, and you'll be living a false life. You'll be living a lie, and I don't want to live a lie. I want to live the adventure of my life. And so, we need to stake ourselves on the truth of Jesus and have faith in that. That's what we're doing. Stake your faith in Jesus and what he says, and live on it. Because when you say and do what you believe to be true, by your faith in Jesus, no matter what happens, it is the best possible outcome. It just is. And it is so tempting in the immediate moment to try and manage what's happening to you right now, and you lie or you say something or do something just to get you out of it. But I'm telling you, the middle and long term will pay for it. But in Jesus, isn't that wonderful? It's a wonderful thing. I'd like to give you a challenge. I'm done telling you the truth because I'm done talking about it. I'm tired of it. I want to give you a little bit of a challenge. For the rest of the day, let's say week or month, can we do that? You are only allowed to say and do the truth. Truth, what you truly believe, what you truly want to do, according to God, his truth, right? Not our brokenness. But I need you to just speak truth the rest of the day. Try it. Okay? Try it. And not honesty. Let me give you an example. I was in business, and part of that was working for a manufacturer of shoes, Payless. And so I taught my store managers that I was over to say this. If the shoe looks good on her, and let's be honest, 95% of all shoe sales are decided by women, even the men, and kids. So I'm just going to use her, okay? If the shoe looks good on her, you say, you look beautiful in that. You look wonderful in that. If she doesn't, you say, doesn't that shoe look beautiful? See the difference? Half-truth. You can kind of little lie your way out of a situation. So I didn't want to be just not honest, but I'm not telling the truth either, right? So you can be truthful, you can be honest, and then, so tell the truth, or at least attempt not to lie. Can we do that? For one day, maybe make it a week, and see how much just that one guide, how far we are, how difficult it is to do that. But if you're on truth, it'll help. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Through faith in truth, we speak and do what brings life. That's what you're doing when you're telling the truth, when you're acting on the truth. You're living what God intended you to say and to do. It's pretty amazing. And the best part of all, you're going to be living in the world on your incredible life's adventure, the true one God has in store for you. And believe me, if you do what he says, your life will never be boring. Ever. Ever. And we thank him for it. Amen.